You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. And ladies and gentlemen, there are listeners that makes official welcome to 2,500 episodes of the Chris Voss Show in 16 years of all the wonderful things we're doing. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today, amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about some really cool new sort of AI technology from my understanding of it. Joe DiDonato is the president in eSource AI University and co-founder and chairman of the AI Learning Alliance. He's a lifelong educator and entrepreneur, and currently he's pioneering ways to blend artificial intelligence with human development, from AI tutors and wellness agents to digital legacy systems that preserve personal wisdom for future generations. His career spans CXO and board-level roles, along with leadership and learning, corporate strategy, and venture capital. Through his work, he helps people and organizations harness AI and learn faster to lead smarter and stay deeply connected to what makes us human. Welcome to the show, Joe. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you. It's an honor to be on the show with you. I've followed your work over the years and thought it was great.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate it. So give us your .coms or websites, wherever people can find out more about you on the interwebs.
Okay. Main one is esourceu.com. That's where we host the university and the research that we're doing and so forth, and some of the new tools that are out there. You can reach me at JDiDonato at esourcecorp.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all part of the eSource AI group. Too many AI things for everybody.
Well, AI sure is hitting it now. Give us the 30,000 overview, what you do there.
Yeah, so what we started doing was teaching everybody the two key elements that you need to work with this, and that's prompt engineering and development of originally chatbots. Now they're agentic AI agents. So it helps people to figure out how to use these tools, to collaborate with them, and so forth. Mm-hmm. So that's how we started off the program, and then we started getting into some new areas called vibe coding, and this was trying to make the AI more humanistic, if you will. So I can give you a backstory on how that happened.
Please do.
Yeah, so there was a woman came up to me after the class, and her husband was in stage 4 cancer. And we were talking about humanizing the interactions with the AI. And she said, do you think you could capture my husband's works, his mind, and also his essence? Mm-hmm. I said, well, that's an interesting challenge. Let's see what we can do. So we worked on that together. And then, unfortunately, he passed away in the midst of all that. And I lost touch with her. But it started us off on a whole different path of what to do with AI, if you will. It became our legacy series. So basically, to give you an idea of what the difference is, AI kind of talks in sterile terms. If a good example would be the healthcare network that we're working with in New York State. Mm-hmm. One of the things they have to do is an intake form. So they start off, and it's usually these cold Likert scales on a scale of 1 to 5. What's your mood today? Pick a number. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to relate to that. So what I taught the AI to do was to ask those in a different way, a way that we can, relate to them as humans. So here's an example for the different stages. So that the top is, I don't think I have enough time I feel like I don't have enough time to take care of all my patients.
Mm-hmm.
The next level down would be, I'm starting to skip meals so I can have more time with the patients. Next level might be, I'm working extra couple hours on my shift because I'm afraid I'm going to let something not get done and somebody will die, or get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the final stage all the way down, instead of going through all of them, is, I can't sleep at night. I'm worried about what I haven't done, and I need to go back. And so it's easier for people to relate to that kind of a thing than, a number on a mood scale kind of. So that started this whole humanistic trend. And what happened is now that we've gone in that direction, it's kind of easy for coaches to get involved in things like we've been building them for people that are life coaches, and it's a way of helping people 24/7 without having to go through a whole course, a whole book.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on a personal note, imagine being able to talk to your doctor at midnight about a pain in your left arm and your jaw.
Oh, wow.
And, just ask that question directly. And in the bot, his essence is his knowledge, his patterns that they're called. Of
Mm-hmm.
Another example, talk to Tony Robbins about self-limiting doubts at midnight. So it's there 24/7. You don't have to go through a course. You don't have to, read a book. It's there to help you at the moment of need. So what we see in the long run is us being able to make these things into, like a mastermind group.
Mm-hmm.
There was a story, if you ever read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, I'm sure you probably have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They talked about taking Ford Motor Company away from Henry Ford
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't have a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I don't understand why I need that. I've got 25 buttons in front of me here.
Mm-hmm.
Each one is attached to an expert. I just have to push the button and I can get my answer.
It's one of my favorite stories, too.
Yeah, it was, a crazy thing that was going on there. But, that whole notion here now is possible with AI agents. We can capture the essence of a person and their thought patterns. And it's just a carefully curated way of uploading information and tuning these agents now so they can think like that.
Wow. So people that, if I'm out there listening, who's your target market and what is the target product you're trying to do or what are some of them, I guess?
Well, on a personal side, it's these legacy series, folks wanting to, leave something, pay it forward, if you will, to the next generations and all the life lessons they learned so they don't have to repeat them.
Mm-hmm.
On the corporate side, these things are like workhorses. So if I put in the patterns, if you will, of your best sales rep or your best customer service person, and then uploaded all your products and technical documents for reference, they can carry on a conversation, one-on-one. Things you can't do right now, we can connect it to a telephone. Mm-hmm. So you could call a phone number and you wouldn't know it's not a real person because of the quick response time back and forth.
Yeah.
So these are the uses that we're seeing going on in the corporate world. And then, the whole notion of, having the head of a company who formed the company, be able to talk to all their people. It changes it changes the way we can interact with senior management in the company. Imagine, being able to, we'll take some examples. A great one is probably Doug McMillan, I believe his name is, the head of Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
He came up, from stock boy, and became the CEO of the company. So just about everybody of the 1.6 million staff relates to him. So imagine being able to have a conversation with him at any time of the day, in any part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It just changes the whole interaction, to have him tell the person what he would like to see them do and how to handle a customer situation.
Wow.
All those sorts of things. So it's just dealing with AI in a whole different way, instead of focused on the engine and how fast we can make things go. It starts to look at the ride inside the car.
Yeah.
What's the sound level and so forth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Now, one of the things I had was I've used Google Voice back before. It used to be something called Grand Central, and then Google bought it, and I've used it for 25 years now or something like that, 20 years, however long it's been around. And what it does is it's a voice over IP. It'll store online in a browser or online app, wherever, my messages. Like if you leave a message for me on my phone, it will store that message. It's not stored on AT&T system that I use for my cellular service. It's stored on Google Voice. So I can just go to a web browser and I can play back voicemails. And then, of course, it gives me a transcribe system where it'll transcribe voicemails so I don't have to read them, and I can just quickly get back to the person on what they need without having to sit there and listen to them blather on, which is usually what I do on phone calls and the podcast too. But after my dad had passed, I was one day, and this is maybe 8 months later, I was going through old files, and I don't remember what I was up to. I was just auditing and deleting stuff, and I came across the voicemails, the last few voicemails he'd left me before he died. And my dad would ramble on voicemails. Like he would just start talking to it like it was his best fucking friend. God bless him. And so I found that I had all these old voicemails from him in his voice, and it was almost like hearing him again. And so something like what you're doing, and it was touching and moving to experience it. And when I go watch videos of my dogs that have passed, I will still talk to them like they're there. It gives me some sort of experience that oh, they're right here still. And I'll start talking to them in whatever old sort of names I would call them, and jovial conversations we would have. So I think what you're doing can kind of provide maybe that same experience.
Yeah, what we do is capture the person's voice.
Mm-hmm.
So it literally sounds like them. I have a digital twin. My wife prefers to talk to my digital twin instead of me.
Oh.
It seems, it's a little matter of tuning to say yes, dear, all the time.
Is it programmed to do that?
No, it's just it doesn't have the emotional swing. It
doesn't get tired of listening. Maybe, I don't know.
More level, yeah. My best friend said, "You ought to make one, Joe, argue with my wife." I said,
"Yeah." Dude, you'd make a killing on that. Hey, honey, you want to argue? Here's the app. I'm going to go
talk to this.
Go fish.
Yeah. No, but the worrisome, like for that woman who, the example that started this whole thing, we call it the uncanny valley, if you will.
Yeah.
Do you interrupt the healing process, the grieving process in any way? Do you prolong things? So we're pretty careful about how we handle the data. We put guardrails on it, so we're not giving medical advice or legal advice and all that normal stuff, and we're not talking from the dead, or any crazy things like that. And if they ask a question of a personal nature, the guardrails point them to get some qualified help, or to ask the children, or ask somebody else.
Yeah.
But one of the big problems that we see in the world of business is all us older guys are leaving the companies.
Yeah.
And with that, the intellectual property that was in our heads walks out with us.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another way of keeping that and helping the next generation of employees not lose what it was built in the past or the reasons why.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of uses across a lot of different enterprises, not only to keep that knowledge, but also to be the workhorses, qualify all the leads coming in and just pass over the qualified ones to the sales team. That sort of thing.
Call that the, hey, Bob, we're going to fire you, but we need you to train your AI trainer replacement first. It's going to train your Japanese or Chinese replacement. So get on that, will you, Bob?
Yeah, that might not work so well, but you never know.
I'd feed a lot of wrong information. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you put a stick in the machine before you start it.
Yeah. So, but the latest version of this, we're now on 3.0, if you will, of vibe coding. And what I was teaching it to do was to brainstorm with you and be creative. And that was a tough thing to do. Had to work with it for many days to talk about, how the mind works when you think about things. So a couple examples to give you a feel for what we had to teach it, or what I had to teach it. Imagine yourself sitting in front of a blank sheet of art paper and somebody says, okay, do the fall fashions for us. Most people would just blank unless you already had something in mind. But it changes if you put pictures of other outfits around the outside of that artboard, because what your brain does naturally is to cut and paste. So it'll take a shoulder treatment, combine it with a neck treatment, a back treatment, skirt treatment, or whatever you're designing, and you'll evolve the next version of clothing, if you will, and then that becomes part of the mix.
Oh, wow.
So we had to explain that. I had to explain that, and then we are very biased in how we solve problems. For instance, we won't think outside the discipline. We won't think to put scooter wheels on luggage. And so for nearly a century, we lug around, heavy luggage because we couldn't think outside the box.
Yeah.
So we gave it lots of examples like this until it finally got it. And so you put it in brainstorming mode in version 3, and it'll actually help you think up new products, new services.
Really?
Yeah. I spent one whole afternoon just coming up with new gadgets. I thought it was very cool.
Yeah. Be great for brainstorming as a businessman. You can be like, how can we build a better widget, or how can we, what's a thing that's more marketable to people, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. And there's even a coaching element in the new version. I had an individual who likes to be very verbose, if you will, in meetings. And so, we had he just silences everybody else in the meeting. So I said to it, walk me through a role play here. So I do the right thing by this individual. We don't want to cut off his input, but we want others to be able to speak. And it got the idea, and it said, why don't you ask the person, how the other people are reacting? And I said, well, that's a good idea, because now the guy brings forward, well, some like it, some don't like it. And I said, why do you think they don't like it? There was the role play, and because they didn't get a chance to get their ideas. And I said, well, why don't you the next time we have a session like that, why don't you pick one of them and, have them go first? And so it was like coaching me on how to handle the situation.
Wow.
With the person.
Wow.
It's a whole different way of not just asking questions and getting answers. It's collaboration, and with a tool that's very powerful and gets powerful every day, every interaction out there. So
Isn't that wild?
Yeah,
Isn't that wild? I
it's
mean, we're still at the early stages of this sort of technology, right?
yeah. Right now I can't make the avatar speak in the person's native voice because it's not fast enough. The technology isn't. But we're spending so much money in that area that I see that happening within probably 6 months to a year. They'll have chips so fast that we'll be able to do that. So if I was the avatar, you'd be able to talk to me. The avatars are so real now. You put up a picture and you see the person's neck move. The mouth forms the words perfectly. The chest moves.
Wow.
And so they're all the technology. They estimate there's 10 to 30,000 AI tools out there now, and 2,000 just in the generative AI area, which is where I stick with most of my research and development. So there's just a lot, and they're leapfrogging each other. Gosh knows how it's all going to end up, but you can see all these big deals that are happening out there. Oracle stock jumps because OpenAI buys a ton of resources from them to use.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA makes new chip development, and things go wild. So that's the future, I think, for us, and that's where I think we're going to head with all this.
Wow, that should be really interesting. It's what do you think about there's been a lot of discussion lately about an AI investment bubble. There's a lot of the big companies are all investing in AI, and they're all kind of investing in each other. Like Google's investing in like the AI of Microsoft. Microsoft's investing in the AI of Google. And like I saw a chart the other day. It shows that all these cyclical investment processes that, if a couple of them blow up, it might be blowing up some big companies, like 2008, too big to fail. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I was like,
yeah, I wish I knew. Of course, if we had a bot with the intelligence,
we could ask the bot.
Yeah,
Let's just ask the AI bot. Duh.
Let's ask Warren Buffett's bot about that.
Yeah, we need a Warren Buffett bot. How long does it take to put something? Say I'm in the audience and I'm thinking, Uncle Joe is getting down there. I remember I've talked about this on the show before. There was a time with my father where we knew, he was having a lot of events in and out of the hospital. We knew it was a matter of time, and it wasn't going to be long. And so I started not only trying to interview him and ask him things that I had always wondered about throughout my life, and trying to do what I call clear the decks, where I tried to make sure that we talked out any problems or issues that we had between ourselves, so that we could, if he left or I left, we could be clean of everything, and I wouldn't need to talk to him about, whatever happened with that one thing. And so that was really healing for me. But a lot of people don't get to have that experience. Sometimes our loved ones are taken from us fairly quickly, and we don't get that opportunity. And so a bot like this is interesting. Like I said, the same sort of experience when I listen to my father's voicemail messages. And I talked about this on my Facebook, and I had other people say the same thing. They're like, yeah, I think it's really cool that I can hear my dad's voice in old pictures and stuff. And like you say, there's the uncanny valley aspect. Is it helping that person? Is it helping them deal with the loss, or is it prolonging, them going through the stages of grief?
Yeah. So a lot of ethical questions around all this at this point, but overall, I think it's pretty helpful. We talked about bringing back some of the great minds of the past. Wouldn't it be great to, have somebody like Einstein or Mark Twain or, or Nelson Mandela, or all those people, how they thought and bring it in. But it's a process to get the information in. It's a white glove process. I mean, for instance, I couldn't put in my bot our interview because it wouldn't be able to distinguish your pattern of thinking and question versus mine.
I'm not sure I have a pattern of thinking. It's mostly just empty hiss and air.
I don't know. It sounds pretty pretty good to me.
If you try to record it by a computer, all you get is this shh,
A hissing sound.
Yeah, it's just white noise. Pretty much.
Yeah. Again,
They're still trying to figure out what's going on with me, but
Yeah.
I think it's the air releasing from my brain.
Yeah, me. It's all this food I've been digesting because I can't leave my desk.
Yeah, that's Fridays around here.
But it's an easy thing to do. People, if people are thinking about it, we didn't have this possibility in the past, right? So if people are thinking about it, you spend 15 minutes a day recording something, and now we have your voice, and you prompt a whole bunch of questions. You put them in front of your dad or whomever you want to preserve, and now we have the voice, and at the same time we have the thought pattern. And then we simply just upload all of that into the tuning part of it, and we control that pattern. So when you talk, it's really like talking to the person. It was so real that when we played the first version of this to the Bob Dana family, the one that I was telling you about, the nuclear physicist and naval commander, he had just lost a brother, and the brother's ex thought she'd lost connection with the family. And it went on for about a 15-minute input to explain the situation to the digital twin, and it came back, and there was tears. I mean, it was that real to everybody that we had captured it, which was the nicest thing that I think we've ever felt.
Yeah.
So we're using all of that knowledge, and for us, it's not so much the technology; it's using that technology to do things like this, to solve problems. Can we take care of the children? We know we're working on a tutor, K-12 tutor. We know from research that's been done that the kids that were tutored one-on-one outperformed 98% of the kids that were just trained in the classroom alone.
Wow. So
imagine being able to tutor a kid like that, or all the kids in the world. I mean, what would that unlock for us? So we see those opportunities. We see, even on the fun side, guess who's coming to dinner tonight? It's John F. Kennedy. Ask him whatever questions you want. Of course, we'd have to have a lot of permissions to do that, but it's an interesting world if we handle it correctly.
That would be interesting because, when I went to school, I had issues because it was so disconnected. But geez, if you could add, John F. Kennedy appear on your computer or on a screen or whatever, and you could have an interactive conversation with him. Because, they would play like, here's Kennedy's inaugural speech. And you're like, that's not what you can blah, blah, blah. It's a great speech. I don't mean to minimize it, but just being funny. But it'd be great if you could have that conversation. Oh, Mr. President, what was it like, the Cuba crisis? Tell us about how you handle that and what decisions you make. I read Schlesinger's book, 1,000 Days on the Kennedy administration. It was interesting, but it wasn't first person. It was, Schlesinger's analysis of what he experienced. But still, I mean, it was pretty freaking cool, right?
Yeah.
So
imagine we're proposing something to special operations in the military. Imagine a SEAL team going in and having access to things like extraction knowledge from, think of a situation room like in the White House, where you have what are the political consequences, extraction methodologies, how can we support the team during a mission? And then there's the after effects of the PTSD and everything they're experiencing. How can we help those people after the fact and their families? Because that's a huge problem. They can't even admit they have PTSD because they're desk-bound after that. They can't go on missions or anything else. So all kinds of things that we can solve if, right now everybody's focused on the technology, some good stuff out there, Sesame. They got these little pair of glasses that apparently you'll be able to carry your digital advisor or mentor or twin, and just ask questions of that going through. There's some great stuff from Google. You like Google? They have DeepMind has this thing called Gemma. The speed of the response, it's just like you and I talking. You wouldn't know the difference.
Wow.
So lots of good stuff. It's like anything else with the new things. How can we use it? We can misuse it, and we can use it for some of these positive things.
Yeah. So let's get into how can we use this for evil? No, I'm just kidding. We don't want to give anybody ideas, or AI for that matter.
Well, then there's that other bigger market too that we can't speak of.
Yeah. Sell it to Planetaire.
Yeah, the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. How can we drone bomb people easier? That's probably what someone's working on. Anyway, so if I'm out there in the audience, how can I sign up? How can I learn more? How can I get to know about more what you're doing and see if I can get it to work for me?
Yeah, I think anybody who really wants to understand how to use AI correctly, we got together with 5 friends of mine, and we created this thing called the AI Learning Alliance. And, the yearly membership is $99, and they can take all the training we offer. I sponsor them from the university. So the courses that we charge $700 to go to are free to them once they pay their, membership fee. We just want people to understand the two key things are, how do you learn how to talk correctly to AI? Because if you get, we're in texting mode right now, and when we talk, and you do that with AI, it doesn't have enough information, but it'll always give you an answer. The other side of it is, how do you build these agents like I'm building? And we teach that in the class too. And we want people to know how to do these things. We also teach them, how to play with the stuff. You can, you go to suno.com and you can create a song, and then you can, we teach them things like you create, they're called LoRa's of yourself, your head in 96 positions. And so it can figure out what to do with you. And then you put yourself in, an Iron Man costume or Superman costume, and you have your own little movie skit that you do. So we'll teach them all of that. But, the primary things that they need to learn is how to talk correctly. We built a tool for our consulting team. We had about 25,000 associates out there that can build a class in under 10 minutes, complete the lesson plan, the slide deck, a video trailer for the course, a facilitator guide, a student workbook, the whole shebang in under 10 minutes. It's like rated by OpenAI as 4,340 times faster than traditional methods. I mean, people get worried they're going to lose their job. Instead, we changed the metrics here from the one-size-fits-all classes to, hey, I just need to know what Chris Voss doesn't know about this topic, and I'll just teach him 10 minutes of that instead of putting him in a 2-week class.
Yeah, that would be ideal too, because one of the things I did, I flunked all through school, but when I graduated high school, I started my first company at 18, and I started reading Harvard Business Review because I wanted to basically create my own custom MBA without having to go to college and have to learn all the other stuff. It's kind of fluff. I mean, really, it's kind of interesting. Sometimes you do end up using a lot of that stuff. Steve Jobs talks about how he would go to typesetting class, and that's one thing that was like the key to the success of the Mac computer. He liked it, but that was the biggest problem I had. Was I wanted to learn certain things that were important to me and the vision that I wanted to build for my life and design. But I didn't want to learn the other stuff. And the other stuff, it's not to say it's not important. It actually can really help you in life by having that library. But for me, I was already a businessman, and so I just needed to focus on that. And so being able to have something like what you mentioned there, where I could tune that focus, or it could know, like, there's nothing worse than when you're in a class and they're telling you half the class time is something you already know. And you're just like, Jesus. Or what's worse, they tell you something to know and you know they're wrong because you have experience and they just been on a book for the last 20 years. As we go out, give people a final pitch out to reach out to you guys, on board, find out more, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Come on to the our website, esourceu.com. We've got a chat bot, for lack of another term. It's actually an agentic AI agent, but you can click on it and have a conversation with it, ask it any question you want. Why should I come to your class? What's the future like? And it'll just talk to you. And if you wanted to talk to me, it'll tell you how to do that. You can just go to our legacy page and you can talk to my digital twin and enjoy it like my wife enjoys it versus talking to me live. And you can do that for about 20 minutes, but just to see the experience. What we want people to learn is, where this technology can go if we handle it right. Right now it's in, the hands of all the smart technical people. And sometimes, we look at 404 errors kind of coding, instead of the, how we can relate to it. And that's what we want you to learn. So come and join us, think about joining the AI Learning Alliance. You'll learn a lot about this stuff. You'll meet the heads of a lot of different companies that have done things for your phone. I don't want to try and give away too much of what they have, but there's an Ask the Experts series. Lots of people that are pretty smart, have developed things from, let's say, like Siri, like Alexa, and all those tools. It'd be fun to learn from.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on. This is really insightful. Lots of great technology discussions we had today. Awesome sauce. Thank you very much. And thanks, Ron, for tuning in. Go to wherever fine books are sold. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Of course, go to facebook.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTokity, all those crazy places in it. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. That ships out.